Increasing atmospheric carbon dioxide from the use of fossil fuels is leading to rising temperatures, loss of habitat, and loss of economic productivity. The Paris Agreement is an important commitment by 195 countries to substantially decrease CO2 emissions. But how are we going to do that when we are so dependent on fossil fuels in energy production, in industry, and in transport? Carbon capture and storage, or CCS, has the potential to achieve deep cuts in industrial CO2 emissions.
The Peter Cook Center is a vibrant community of students and researchers working on two overarching objectives: to reduce the costs of the CO2 capture process and to develop knowledge and technologies to ensure safe CO2 storage in the deep subsurface.
The Latrobe Valley, east of Melbourne in the state of Victoria, is well known for its brown coal, which has been mined for over 100 years for power generation. Recognising the need to transition to a low-carbon economy, the state government of Victoria decided to phase out coal mining for power generation and is currently exploring other uses for brown coal. In particular, hydrogen production. The Hydrogen Energy Supply Chain, also known as the HESC project, currently operates a hydrogen production pilot plant funded by a consortium of Japanese companies, the Australian government, and the state government of Victoria in the Latrobe Valley. The hydrogen produced in the Latrobe Valley will be transported to Port Hastings, where it will be liquefied and transported in dedicated ships to customers in Japan. The hydrogen used will not emit any carbon dioxide, so it serves as a clean fuel. The current pilot project details the technical feasibility of producing clean hydrogen in the Latrobe Valley, the export of hydrogen to customers overseas, and the permanent storage of CO2 in the deep subsurface. Hydrogen production from coal produces CO2, which will be injected and permanently stored in a carbonate CO2 storage site offshore. The CO2 storage in geological structures below the sea floor at Bass Strait have been investigated for over 15 years, and the storage conditions and capacity are considered to be excellent. This geological assessment of the CO2 storage site has been conducted by Carbonate's geological team in collaboration with research institutes such as the University of Melbourne.
We develop and apply software, improving workflows for performance prediction and simulation-based design of CO2 geostorage. This is a model of a gravel pit, with a layered structure that is similar to that of storage targets buried in the subsurface. CO2 is injected on the left, migrating to the right, driven by the injection pressure. The ease with which fluid flows through rock is shown in grayscale. White is easy, black is hard. You can see that CO2 is channeled into central layers. Simultaneously, it rises because of its buoyancy. But capillary forces prevent it from entering fine-grained layers. The resulting CO2 migration pattern is really counterintuitive, illustrating the strong influence of varying rock properties on plume shape and CO2 retention by the layer. Such intricate behavior is not captured by conventional simulation software. We try to overcome this dilemma by developing next-generation software and applying it to more physically realistic models of storage pilots.
Here in the Carbon Capture Lab, we test, develop and provide support for the commercialisation of advanced solvent absorption systems for the separation of carbon dioxide from a variety of industrial gas streams. We have the laboratory tools, simulation models and pilot plan experience that enable the prediction of large-scale system performance from experimental and pilot plant data with a high degree of accuracy.
We collaborate with a large number of research project partners. One good example is our collaboration with the CO2CRC, a member-based non-for-profit organization which develops and manages research activities at the CO2CRC Otway site located in Western Victoria.
Many of the projects we work on explore ways of either enhancing the flow capacity to allow for higher CO2 injection rates or just the opposite, forming flow barriers to mitigate the risk of CO2 leakage. As an experimental geochemist, I conduct experiments using equipment that can replicate the pressure and temperature conditions found in the deep subsurface, so we can gain a better understanding of these processes.
This project is regarded as a starting point for commercial scale hydrogen production, with carbon capture and storage coupled with hydrogen export.
Carbon capture and storage is a key climate mitigation technology which will enable industries and the economy to transition to a low carbon world.